Tonight, Secretary of State John Kerry is in Paris, but he says his visit is not an apology. It is a big hug for the people of France. That as outrage grows over U.S. senior officials not showing up at the Paris Unity rally.
They didn't send anyone, and I thought it was a real mistake.
Look, I think everyone agrees that this was a mistake.
I really think, this is sort of quibbling a little bit.
It's just inconceivable to me that the president wasn't even aware, apparently, that this event was being planned.
We should have sent someone with a higher profile to be there.
My visit to France is basically to share a big hug with Paris.
A hug, not an apology. And former UN Ambassador John Bolton joins us. He sounds more like Governor Chris Christie, New Jersey, with that hug of Jerry Jones.
Well, it's gone from really ridiculous to unbelievable. The fact, though, is that what's at issue here to me is not the symbolism or the gesture. It's that our policies are wretched. The substance is wrong. The symbolism is wrong, too, but the substance is what the problem is.
You know, even the symbolism seems a little weird to me, because a hug sort of is mourning and grief and a little bit sad. If I were in Paris, I'd want someone to come out swinging, saying, "We're going to do this. We're going to, we're going to try to stop this. We're not going to, just hug." It sounds so 60s.
It sounds right. It sounds.
We're going to build a sandcastle. We're going to have a sandcastle too.
Don't get me started on John Kerry. Look, we're now in a situation where the Belgians are carrying out preemptive raids against ISIS terrorists. The Belgian police are now taking a harder line than the White House. And I think that's the realization when we see the White House releasing these 5 Gitmo detainees that you talked about earlier. The policy is utterly out of control. The symbolism could be great. So what if Barack Obama went to Paris and then 2 days later released 5 anti-American killers? Who cares about it?
Even that, we've been discussing it tonight. For the life of me, I don't understand that. They were subject to availability release 5 years ago in 2010. And President Obama waits until we're all flipped out about terrorism and these people coming and getting massacred. He decides that's a good time to release. I've never seen anything so tone deaf. You should have waited a month.
Yeah. Look, if he had waited a month, it still would have been wrong. That determination is made.
But I mean, I'm just talking about the tone deaf thing. You're like, why now?
Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter to me that he's tone deaf because the policy is so bad. If he were tone alert or whatever the opposite of tone deaf is, he would just be covering the tracks of a terrible, ineffective, deadly policy from America's point of view.
Did you read the op-ed in the London Times they wrote with, they penned with Prime Minister David Cameron? And it was a little bit, weird. It's in the London Times now, American paper. It was like, the way to, I'm obviously making this very simplistic, but he said the way to solve terrorism is jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, I want jobs for American people, but
it's the terrorist threat does not come from economic deprivation. That is leftist ideology. It's really Marxist ideology that all of this religion politics is the superstructure of economics, and the primitive belief that if it weren't for poverty, everything would be fine in the world. Some of the worst terrorists are among the best educated and come from well-off people, Osama bin Laden being example number 1.
So where do we stand now in terms of...
We're in deep trouble. That's where we stand. The president does not have an anti-terrorism policy. He still thinks this is law enforcement, not war, and we've got 2 more years. So what we're seeing in Europe now, we're going to see in this country. That it may take to wake him up.
Ambassador, thank you, sir.